taxes, right? That was set to expire at the end of 2016. What Congress did was extend that through 2019, 26% in 2020, 22% in 2021, and then it expires, right? Hopefully Congress will have mercy again, because solar is one of the fastest growing jobs in the country. I think there's 200,000 people in solar right now, and that exceeds coal mining, which is kind of cool. I love that. That's a really awesome statistic. We have something like 13, 14, 15,000 employees. We're huge, we're growing. So hopefully, you know, that type of momentum will encourage Congress in 2022 to come up with a new extension. But for right now, that extension is guaranteed for another 5 years or so. Net energy metering, someone asked about like 1.0 versus 2.0. Another reason why solar, it's awesome to go solar right now. In last month, in January, the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, basically adopted net energy metering 2.0. So what does that mean? It upholds the structure, this whole, I talked about in the daytime, if you create excess electricity, you ship that off to the utility and you earn credits. One of the big issues is how much is that credit worth? So now they're saying that credit is worth a kilowatt for a kilowatt. So they were trying to say, okay, if you ship us 100 kilowatt hours, we'll give you a credit for 10, or whatever method they were coming up with, and it was determined that that was unfair. And in fact, that's one of the things that got crazy in Nevada, is the whole reimbursement rates and tariffs and extra charges and things like that. It rejected demand, fixed, and standby charges. So there were also, hey, if you have solar, we're going to charge you $3 per kilowatt. If you have a 10 kilowatt system, we're going to charge you $30 a month just for having it on your roof, right? There's this whole principle of the utility death spiral, right? The more and more customers that they lose, the harder it is for them to keep their income up. Investor-owned utilities like Edison and PG&E, they're required to make a profit for their shareholders. And not only that, but the crazy incentive is the more they spend on infrastructure, the higher rates they can charge. So they base their whole rate, when they go to the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, and make a case for a new rate, they're basing it on the infrastructure and the cost to maintain that infrastructure. So the more they spend on wires and all that, we don't have wires. You can set up on your house. We don't have that legacy that working against us. So what this means, though, is that if you lock in, okay, so let's see, there's a cap for this net energy metering 2.0. So once each utility reaches a certain number of customers, then they get to change the pricing on that a little bit, right? And they get to change it again. So in 2016, and you're grandfathered for the 20-year term. So if you get solar now, you have a favorable net energy metering rate that you get those credits. In a couple of years, when they reach some threshold of customers, that reimbursement rate's going to drop, and then it's going to drop again, and it's going to drop again. So the person who puts solar on now is ensuring an entitlement to their home, because that transfers with the home. So when you sell your home, and when you sell your investment, that goes to the new buyer with the rates that are grandfathered in, right?
I was wondering, as an investment, could it work that you keep the contract in place when you sell the home and earn money that way? Is that possible?
Interesting. I don't think you would want to, if you're selling a home, I don't think you would want to be responsible. In order to keep at least the net energy metering part of it, you have to be in an agreement with the utility provider. And if you're walking away from a home, you don't want to be exposing yourself. What if that person, the next buyer puts in a jacuzzi and runs a pool and a jacuzzi and a Tesla, and all of a sudden their electricity consumption is going up and your name is on the bill. So in order for you to stay with solar, stay in that contract, really we need the person on title and the person who pays the electricity bill, because they're the ones who go into the agreement with the utility.
So net metering 1 is better than net metering 2 if you got it and you're locked in, is what you're saying.
No. What I'm saying is that with net, that people are grandfathered in at the rate that they're currently getting, and that the Public Utilities Commission allowed for this reduction in benefit over time. So you're locked in once you get into the program, but the guy who did solar in 2003 will have less favorable net energy metering rate of return. So I don't know that 1.0 is qualitatively different than 2. I think everyone is moving to 2.0. By the way, everyone's going to have to go to time of use, which is a different thing. So you basically pay at the time, they charge you a different amount at 2 p.m. than they do at 8 p.m. and we're
Let's
all
go get
going
those
to be
batteries
moving
out.
that. Go ahead.
I have no clue how like the utility company is able to charge, like, how are they associated with the government? Like, if you're completely on solar, how can they just fee you for having the solar panel?
Because in our current configuration, you're never completely on solar.
Okay.
Right now, you're still always connected to the grid, so you always have to kind of play.
And you
play
have
by
to be
their rules.
connected to the grid?
Because we don't produce electricity at night. So let me get a next slide here, and we'll get down to that. But basically, I will hit that a little bit.
Okay.
California, 50% renewable energy tax, renewable energy target. We just last year upped the amount of renewable energy that the state is, the utilities are required to acquire from renewables, and it's going to be 50% by
2030.
2030, thank you, sorry. And the beautiful thing is that the state, just like that California Solar Rights Act for HOAs, the state is encouraging the adoption of solar. The state is actually forcing the utilities, and then now this new net energy metering 2.0, they're kind of forcing the utilities to still allow that. So the opposite end of that spectrum is Nevada, where the Public Utilities Commission just, roasted those people that had solar by going retroactive. Not even people who are installing, but by going retroactive, which is why companies are pulling out. Who knows if that's going to last, if that's going to survive a lawsuit.
So you mentioned the time of use, so does that mean that if I'm producing at 2 p.m. when the rates are 1 cent, and I'm using it at 8 p.m. if the rates are 2 cents, then I'd only be getting 1 cent credit?
It will impact, I don't know, like I won't quote on the rates and the times, per time, but yes, it'll have an impact of when you generate that electricity and that goes to the grid versus when you're consuming that electricity. So maybe the idea is if the rate is cheaper at night, you just run your heavy appliances at night, right? I mean, that's which is what you're encouraged to do anyway, but people will be more dialed into that. So what's on the horizon? Here's a couple of issues that a number of you have talked about. So this is kind of the battery concept. So right now, just so you know, solar electricity, when utility has a blackout, disruption, your system shuts down. One of the reasons is to protect the linemen from Edison that go out to work on the line. If there's hundreds of solar, distributed solar generating powerhouses out there, and they're all feeding back into the grid, there's no way to cut that off necessarily. Whereas if they can cut off from the power plant so they can safely work on the lines. So it's really important for them to maintain that safety. That's one of the reasons. But we play nice with the utilities, and our inverters shut off when the power goes out. Now, what we're trying to do is create a closed loop system so that you can have backup power when you lose power from the grid. So during the day, you're basically like the inverter is feeding your main panel, that's charging your battery, and then if the power goes out, you can back up. It's 12 circuits in your home. So you can pick 12 things. You can also stack batteries if you want, so you can do multiple things. Instead of 12, you can do 24 if you have 2 batteries.
Maybe instead of doing that, you could get a generator, and then if you leave, go on vacation, then you use what is saved up in the generator. Would that be possible?
Well, the generator doesn't save, the battery does save, but if you think about it, it only has, it has the capacity to get you through the night or get you through rates, but it needs to recharge during the day. So it's not going to bank enough, the batteries are not big enough to bank, 3 weeks worth of electricity, for example. Go ahead.
Kind of like how a generator works, at least from my perception. Would you still be able to say you're using the battery, right? You got some appliances that you want to have kick on, the power's out. Could you have something where it's kind of like on generators, where it kind of gives it that big surge in the beginning, so you could kick on the refrigerators and stuff, and then it kind of goes back down?
I will refer you to a Tesla engineer on that one.
Okay.
I don't know. But the cool thing about Tesla and the batteries is that Tesla is building what's called the Gigafactory in Sparks, Nevada. It's outside of Reno. We're beginning cell production, battery production in 2017 and full production by 2020. 35 gigawatt hours, enough to supply 500,000 Teslas. Those Tesla batteries, the goal is to run on renewables, so they have a wind farm planned here and solar panels on the roof. So, you know, the goal, and here's a picture of a Tesla battery on a wall. This is it's called the power wall, right? Beautiful. It can be outdoors. It can be inside your garage if you want, so it's safe either way. And this is going to help protect you at night. The issue of time of use and the battery, and so it doesn't necessarily, you're not using that battery on a daily basis, right? Right? You're not charging that battery and then running it down and all the excess, and then at night your refrigerator's running, your air conditioning and whatever, you're not using that battery. You're only using it when the power goes out.
Could you fully disconnect that?
It's full, right now the battery is throttled to basically serve primarily as backup generation. There are some other interesting things. They've actually increased, here we were talking about Tesla and updates. It's their software, right? So the software basically doubled the capacity of that battery in the last, while we've been doing research on it. Not changing the chemistry of the battery, but we've doubled the capacity of the battery, so we can add more circuits to it and back up more of your home. In my mind, so right now we're installing for new customers in the summer, new SolarCity customers that want that power wall backup generation. But what you're talking about is not that far off into the future, I think. This is my personal opinion, not SolarCity, but I think that they're going to get to a point where these batteries are so sophisticated, the systems are so sophisticated. So I'm an existing customer, I'm probably going to get a battery in 5 years so that I can do a little bit more than just backup generation. So that maybe I could use it at night, or something like that. And therefore I'm not even relying on that net energy metering, how much the credits are, because I'm just using my own solar electricity.
How has the Nevada PUC change affected the production?
I don't know.
I mean,
if it were
that
me-
big facility you just showed
If
us.
it were me, I would have buyer's remorse on picking Nevada as my right. But that's just my personal. It's kind of frustrating that Tesla and SolarCity as a sister company to Tesla has made this investment and has big plans in Nevada, and all of a sudden we're pulling people out of Nevada because no one's going to get solar currently. I do think that, I don't know that that's going to survive.
We're probably just going to fight it really hard and things will
I would
change.
assume that the solar industry and the customer, right, if there's 10 or 20,000 customers that have solar in Nevada, don't you, I mean, where else, Nevada's such a great place for solar,
Yeah.
right? Nevada, Arizona, California, right? Texas is tougher because the electricity is so much cheaper, but even in Texas, right? Like I said, if there's savings to be had and the sun is shining, we're going to be there. So,
Just a matter of getting out there and voting and getting people out of office that are making those.
you got to get involved. I mean,
Don't illegally register in Nevada, though.
there was, the commissioner of the California PUC, not the current one, but in the recent past, his prior job was, I think, president of Southern California Edison. Just a revolving door there.
Oh, boy.
And that's going on in Nevada. I would assume that but that's the way politics work and that's the way money works. And enough people are going to say, hey, that is just not, if nothing else, at least grandfather us in, right? We made an investment, we made a partnership.
If the cost of batteries were not an issue and the technology was there, do you think that the current amount of solar panels that you have in your house could get you off the grid, or would you actually have to install some more besides the battery?
I'm limited because my roof has a lot of twists and turns, little smaller surfaces, so I just couldn't put as many panels as I wanted to get to 100%. But by getting 85% of my electricity, I've knocked out all that tiers 3 and 4 pricing. So I'm happy to pay 15 cents to Edison. I'd be happier to pay 16 cents to SolarCity and lock that in for 100% of my electricity. But for that last 15% of my electricity, I'm happy to pay Edison's lower tier pricing. And in fact, with some of these changes to net energy metering, be aware that your bills, if you have say 4 tiers now, right, they're flattening that to 2 tiers. So over the course between now and 2019, they're going to say, okay, everyone who's paying 15 cents a kilowatt hour for tier 1 and 19 18 cents for tier 2. Now we're gonna flatten you guys, and now you're gonna be paying 18 cents a kilowatt hour, which really hurts someone who's at the bottom end of that. And the people who are at the top end, who are paying like, say, 24 cents and 31 cents, they're gonna flatten those two tiers. So they're gonna say, okay, instead of 31 cents and 24, I don't know what the price, they don't know what the prices are, they haven't determined it yet, but they have approved this flattening of the rates. So it's gonna change, there's all these things happening. It's good to lock it in now.
Wouldn't you say SolarCity's ultimate goal is to get people off the grid with the batteries and the solar panels?
I think so. I mean, this is, this is basically one of the visions here is this microgrid, where, and you can go on the website, I'm not gonna go into it too much because I'm not the engineer, this is not where my focus is. But basically is starting to network homes that are using batteries and solar, and you're controlling the loads and different times of the day, and it's networking with commercials, so that all of a sudden you can, one of the terms that they use to call it is called islanding, where you can totally disconnect, right? And in fact, if you're on an island, there's no utility provider, something like that. So what these schools, if we go to Nepal and we're donating a system and installing it and teaching them how to maintain that system, they're basically creating a little island, their own little grid. Maybe they connect 2 buildings or 4 buildings or whatever it is, and they have storage at night, so they're balancing all that stuff. So it's pretty sophisticated. We're working on big, long-term picture things. One of the things that we're doing into the future, I mentioned the gigafactory that Tesla is building. SolarCity is building another gigafactory. It's the other gigafactory, and that's in Buffalo, New York, where we're going to be the largest solar panel manufacturer outside of, I believe it's outside of Asia, and it's one of the biggest manufacturing facilities in the nation. And that's coming online in the next year, a couple of years. So we're building our own panels because we're installing 1 out of every 3 homes. There's 700,000 homes in the United States that have solar. There's 70 million homes. That's 1%. A lot of opportunity for real estate investors, for homeowners, for ratepayers, for solar companies to all do something to get electricity a better way.
Are you building your own panels now?
We have a small plant, I think it's in Colorado. We purchased a company that was producing some crazy great technology, Salivo, and we purchased that company and whatever in the last couple of years, and we're using that model of their technology, and we're starting to produce some even higher efficiency panels, and then the next gigafactory in Buffalo, New York, even more so. So the idea is, hey, it's made in America.
More of your own until it's your own.
Yeah, I mean, right, and I don't even know if that factory will meet all of our needs for solar panels, but we can only try.
Yeah, in the lobby of the Gigafactory in Reno, it says Gigafactory 1, and Elon Musk has said it could take 200 of those
Yeah.
to be able to handle, all the cars in the United States. So there is a goal to do more Gigafactories,
Yeah.
and other companies will do it too, compete.
So it's 4 o'clock, we're right at our time limit. I'm gonna, if you have questions, if you have questions that you think the group might be interested in, I'm happy to talk for a few more. I'll stick around for a few minutes, we can chat. What I'd love to do, if you guys are interested in particular projects, particular homes, that's really where, we can spend some time and explore how solar can work for your investment property or for your home or for your sister's home in Arizona. Whatever, someone who's on a fixed income, they're trying to figure out a way to cut costs. It works for all of them.
And also be an ambassador for you.
I love it. I mean, I gave everyone a little brochure
Right.
with just a little bit of information so you have something to take home. My business card's on there. If you're interested, I'll stay here and we'll, if you want to give me your card or contact information, we'll get you signed up as an ambassador. You can make, give me 5 people that are going to install, you'll have an extra $1,000 this year. That'll pay for your electricity.
Are you expanding to additional states?
We are, and I don't, but I can't tell you what those plans are. I mean, ideally, we're in, every state. That would be
Sure.
lovely. I think, it's a lot of it has to do with, we're not in Florida. Florida's a great state for, even though there's wind and hurricanes and things like that, considerations. It's still a state. I think a lot of, I've heard it, read it somewhere, Holy Grail, right? Because it's just all that sunshine and it's untapped. But the regulatory hurdles are, not yet overcome. So it's just a process, and I think, again, it's this tipping point where we're getting, there's 1% of all homes in the United States have solar, but 13% of the homes in my neighborhood have it, right? And more, Gora, I know a neighborhood where it seems like 1 out of every 5 homes has it. And 3 years from now, it's gonna be, it's gonna be 1 out of 3 homes, or 2 out of 5, or something like that. And then all of a sudden, the realtors who sell there are going to be dealing with solar. They're gonna realize that value. They're gonna say, you don't want the house with the $8,000 a month electricity bill. Even if you're leasing it, you want the house with the $6,000 a year bill. So. Cool? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
You're a public speaker.
Yep, you are.
Very
Right,
good job.
right.
So we'll be back here next month. If anybody wants to go downstairs in the lobby and kind of hang out, network, get some food and drinks or whatever, we're going to be down there too eventually. Thank you very much for showing up. Free training. If you want to get back with me, please hang around. Ross has got to go, but he's going to stick around for a little bit. But there's a great opportunity to be an ambassador and, stay on top of this stuff. So thank you very much for showing up.
Thank you.